Hey yo. So I was just flailing. Oh, hey, hello. It's live now. I was just like flailing around. I was like in between whatever because I don't know what to do for thumbnails, and it took the picture, and I was like, okay, work. So I'm not gonna extend that because, like I said, it was perfectly succinct as is. Just wanted more messages because I wanted to be on longer. Um, but I talked about wanting to build a spread, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I just need to find the cards to do it. And my Surface Book should be charged. Yes, I got them. I'm using the Spencer's novelty generic $8 deck. I saw they had like the Game of Thrones tarot and the Tattoo tarot. I went into Spencer's and I wanted a new deck. Well, I didn't even know that Spencer's had tarot cards. Um, I was with a buddy and he went into Spencer's and I saw the cards. And it was like October or September, late September, maybe October. And they had like the novelty deck out. And I was drawn to the novelty deck. And I was like, oh, like I kind of want those. And what do they say on the back? They say for novelty purposes only. Like like this ain't a real deck, but anything is a real anything if you want it to be. It's how we engage spaces that make them real. So this thing should be charged. I'm excited. I love doing this. Last time I did this though, it was the Baron spread, and it was like starting to introduce like past lifey types of energies. And I was like, oh goodness, what is this? Um, but it was interesting, you know. All right. So how I do this is I pull at least three cards. I don't know how to title anything. So the first card is just the title. In this deck, I'll pull this random card right here. Who is it? Ooh! Oh, it's the Five of Cups. But the Five of Cups is the mermaid here. The Five of Cups is a mermaid in the Witch's Tarot too. And so like they all have names, so I would call it like the mermaid spread. And then the second card, maybe I'll just do it this way, is the number of cards. This is the hermit, which is a 9. But I only take like pip cards for this space. The Page of Pentacles, still not a pip card. The Empress. Okay, can I get like a number? The Magician, apparently not. Saw majors and court cards. There we go, the Two of Cups. A 2-card spread. Oh, wait. Yeah, it is the number. And then what's the third one? It's the title, the theme, and then the number of cards. So this was the theme. So it's a 2-card spread with the theme being the Hermit, the Page of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Magician. I kind of like this energy though. I don't know how you encapsulate this into this is what I was going to do the other day. There's this energy now that is really subtle. It's an energy of learning to understand the subtleties and the things that link things in a way that isn't necessarily obvious or concrete. And so I wanted to like pull 2 cards and then bridge them myself. And I kind of sort of did that, or that was the intention. And something that I did, I think it was in the sun, the moon, and the stars, but it didn't quite end up working out that way. And that's what this is. Because, like, from the hermit, we get a new understanding, one that's more internally grounded. The Page of Pentacles is the beginning of externalizing that and creating it in the outside world. And then the Empress into the Magician, that's our ability to actually make it happen. And it's the mermaid spread. And I love that because mermaids sort of like it's like Ariel. She lived at the bottom of the sea and she wanted to be where the people were. The bottom of the sea is the hermit, the land. I mean, she went to The empress that she went to, I don't know if I would call Ursula an empress, but the magician that she went to was Ursula. And Ursula gave her a deal that wasn't that great. Ursula took advantage of her, basically. Only 2 cards, though? I'll do it. At first, I was like, oh, this will just be an example, but hey. Oh, and she's charged. Thank you. Because I actually used this the other day. I need to be using this more. This is like my work thing. Um, so, 1 second. I gotta switch this around so I can write on it. Change that costume, Mimi. Change that costume. Change it around. I don't know why that just popped into my head. Oh, that was so funny. Every bird versus Mimi on first or something. Change that costume, Mimi. Change that costume. Change it around. Okay. So I got a new novelty spread. Oh, snap. What the? When did I do this? I got like Mystic spreads, Soul spreads. Hello? Mystic spreads is empty though. I never did them. There's sometimes like I was going through the major arcana and making a spread for every energy. And when I got to the Hierophant, it came out as the Acropolis, but the Acropolis was like too. It's like I got the format, but when it came time to like assigning the card positions or the meanings, it was like blank. Sometimes what's interesting for me, like my brain works in metaphor, so I can find something off of pretty much anything. But sometimes something will be silent or it'll be quiet. And for me, like I can tell when it's silent or quiet because it's like for high priestess type reasons. Like she has secrets. The high priestess's secrets aren't necessarily, it's not like she's necessarily hiding things from us, but it's an energy of like, well, if you wouldn't comprehend it or understand it anyway, it's like sometimes spirit can talk to us using the words that we know. And so if we don't have a vocabulary that matches what spirit is trying to tell us, then it comes through as silence. And it felt like that. Sometimes I can feel like things are like intentionally quiet. And it's like, okay, this is something that we mature into, we grow into, live life, and find out. I almost wonder, like, I've used the shape of the Acropolis spread like twice. Every time it's like, what is this? So I have a modified Hierophant spread that's the pulpit because, the Catholic Church has been around for a minute. I was raised in a Christian church, so the pulpit is I'm a little more familiar with that, I guess. But I do want to like, oops, go back and see what the Acropolis is about. I actually have that spread coming up soon, so maybe it'll reveal something now that it didn't before. But anyway, back to this. Let me make sure my ink color is right. I don't have to use like yellow on black anymore, which is, I don't know, it just I had really accepted that my life was going to be nightmarish and terrible. I really lived my life for the worst case scenario, didn't do, like, I intentionally made myself so depressed and miserable. And then you live more life and it's like, oh, yeah, that thing. Oh, here's a simple solution, apparently. I was like, oh, well, it's a good thing that I did all that shadow work and I learned to. It's like in my line of shadow work, though, I had to learn to be okay with it and to heal it and to live and still dream beyond it before the limitation was removed. And so when it was removed, and I remember there was one time I felt into a future space. And I was like, this future space is interesting because I don't see that limitation in this future space. And at first it's like, well, that could be because I had to have an image painted somehow. But it's like, no, like I don't see it being a limitation. Cut to like 11 months later, I get my cataracts removed, and it's like, oh, well, this is why I didn't see it in the future because it doesn't exist. But in the present moment, it did. And maybe some of that energy is coming out here as well. Because with the hermit, it's like there is that deeper, it's closer to a soul understanding. It's closer to a soul level understanding. And soul level understanding, hermit, high priestess, it is the precursor to everything else. It's the precursor to the emotional, it's the precursor to the mental, it's the precursor to the physical. But sometimes we can't really bridge it. Bridget, who is Bridget? I just saw her because I was like super into Gaelic names for a minute. So Bridget is in mythology somewhere. Bridget mythology. Let's see. I think she's associated with spring. Bridget or bridge, Irish pronunciation. It's Old Irish meaning exalted one. It's a goddess of pre-Christian Ireland. She appears in Irish mythology as a member of the don't know how to pronounce that. Tuatha de Danann, the daughter of Dagda and wife of Bress, with whom she had a son named Rowden or Roden. Roden would make sense. That's the name I hear. Bright goddess of. Okay, come on. Bright goddess of the gale. Bridget was a goddess of the Tuatha de Danann. She was a daughter of the chief of the gods, the Dagda, and was known as goddess of healers, poets, smiths, childbirth, and inspiration. Her name means exalted one. Okay, that's a beautiful name. Shout out to Bridget, apparently. So there's a Brigidian energy. I mean, the Empress is here, so it's Kali in this deck, but did it say healers? Yeah, goddess of healers, poets, smiths, childbirth, and inspiration. With the Empress and the Magician, I'd say healing and childbirth are definitely within that realm. So here's a remembrance of a soul level Bridget type energy. Here is what it governed. Here is us trying to, with this Page of Pentacles, trying to make it come about. I love all of the fire in this because fire is the element of the soul for me. And it's trying to use nature. In this in particular, it's trying to use nature and natural, it's not natural forces. It's trying to use nature and physical effigies in a sort of way that correspond to spiritual forces or that are favored by spiritual forces to make something come about. But in here, it's an energy of like just needing to connect to the energy within self, not necessarily outside, or using something outside to bridge that connection. The Page of Pentacles tries to bridge it in the physical, but since it's within the soul, it should be bridged within. And then the unicorn comes out with the Two of Cups. So if you can do this, you definitely carrying some kind of unicorn energy, because that's not necessarily every day that you find someone who's able to within themselves manifest or create this without sort of seeking some external, I don't want to say third party, but it's a third party that's closer to or that is symbolic of or that carries some sort of governance over that energy, rather than finding the way in which we ourselves kind of sort of tap into it and then exude it. It reminds me of something that I literally just forgot. So it's fine. Okay, back to this. I mean, it's only two cards, and I got four in the theme. Well, I don't want to put this here. So this is the Mermaid spread. Did they have mermaids in Greco-Roman mythology? Because I know that sirens are a thing, but I don't think they had just like straight up mermaids. Apparently, all the mermaids in Greco-Roman mythology wanted to drown people or something. I mean, it's only 2 cards, so I'm actually going to position them one on top of the other. I don't think it matters. I would say one on top of the other because that's more like of a not lateral but a vertical understanding, but it's also like an inside outside energy. I think I might write this 2 ways. So there'll be the vertical ascension or the vertically ascending energy or descending. And then there'll also be like the inside outside alternative. Speaking of alternate spreads of the same energy. Oh, snap. Okay. The thing I love about using this is that I can just move these all around after I draw them because I still need to put the themes here. So this is Hermit. Well, first of all, it's a 2-card spread. There's that 11 again, which is the Hermit, Page of Pentacles. Also, another thing, like I love the active writing. I was like, oh, the surface allows me to write again. But now I can write on like real paper with a real pen and be able to read it. Empress and the Magician. I'm gonna timestamp in the description box when I actually read this because I'll build it and then I'll pull for it. And I'm still using the affirmators and the energy oracle cards today. Now for vertical ascension, I'm actually gonna put 1 first and then 2 because I think these are things that kind of sort of turn. It's like the image of it comes to us, but then we try to bridge that with our limited understanding. Sometimes we hit the mark. Ooh, the moon is at the bottom of the deck with the werewolf. I love that because werewolf carries a sort of like primal energy. It's where the primal part of man overwhelms or overcomes the civilized part. But it's not necessarily feral. It's sort of related to an original gift, at the very least, a gift of healing or poetry or crafting with that smith or inspiration. Oh, speaking of inspiration, there's the Ace of Wands with the 10 of Pentacles. Okay. Oh gosh, almost had a heart attack. Almost lost like half the deck. Okay. Oh my gosh, they both came out with 3 cards. So the top position is the Queen of Pentacles Dryad, Judgment Cerberus, and the 3 of Wands Brownie. The bottom would be 8 of Swords Pegasus, Knight of Wands Hanuman, and the Queen of Wands Lilith. I'm not doing that. That's too much. I'm just going to pull 2 cards like I did before. Oh my gosh. Who just fell on the floor? This deck is like Hanuman in reverse, Knight of Wands, 8 of Swords was left on the table, Pegasus. I don't know why I'm walking on sunshine just stuck into my mind. Bridget. Bridge. Cajo. Nia. Okay. Ooh, is that 2 cards? I'm not doing it. This is one of those things that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it. Because it's just like, well, there's the unicorn again. I'm pulling cards because the ones that's flipping over, I'm just like, what is this energy? See, this is what I'm talking about. I can't do this. It's not that I can't. It's like last time. I'm gonna stop building spreads. I'm gonna stop playing with these cards. They're supposed to be novelty, but what they do is they go like real deep in a way that I like. Oh, I want to do something that isn't like super serious. I just want to pull cards and be lighthearted. So I'll use my novelty deck, and then it's like boom. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is all this? Where did my pen go? Hello. Um, but it's like, okay, so the Six of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups, I'm gonna take that as a little message, and because I just said I'm not taking cards that come out. And then these looked over. It's Arachne and Leviathan. Leviathan. See, I don't know. It's coming through. It's like this energy of divinity, or like high divine, high level gifts that's coming out. And I'm like, I don't know if I can read for that, especially with two cards. This is SKT territory. This is the Spirit Keeper's Tarot territory. I might pull it. I feel like I have to. I can't do that with these. I can try. Oh, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Last time I was like, oh, last time it was about like past lives and stuff. This time it's about what are your sacred gifts, and not just, there are different tiers to gifts. But Arachne is the story of someone who challenged a goddess, who beat the goddess. The goddess flew into a fit of rage and tore up her masterpiece, and then she was turned into the spider. But then it transforms into this Leviathan energy. And so there's an energy of like someone that holds a seed of divinity, or the spark of the divine that they hold within them carries, I don't know if it's immense or if it's unique in some way. There's a little bit of something that you get, but it activates something that lies a lot more, it lies a lot deeper within you. Also, shout out to Terrors of the Sea, because apparently I'm talking about Leviathan and sirens today. But it's like this amount of water for that level of a gift is necessary. It's not necessary, but it would take this much water. It would take Leviathan amounts of water, which is like an ocean. It would take a guardian like the Leviathan, the monster, to hide it. Gosh. I'll do my best because that's all I can do. I actually, since this is only a 2-card spread, or I'll use the SKT to build it instead of using these. I think that'll work. Because the SKT I can see actually, the SKT for me is my like heavy hitting deck. It's my whoa, like WTF. I don't understand spirit. I don't know. I don't have words for this. Like I can feel the energy, and it's trying to like build this very nebulous image in my brain, but I don't know how to put this into words. Type of energy. So, oh, and look, the moon is at the bottom of this deck, the Necromancer. So there's the tie there. The Necromancer, the Werewolf. I love the Necromancer because, again, it's returning something that has been long dormant within. And with the Holy See at the top, it's something that Hierophant energy doesn't necessarily benefit from. It's something that Hierophant energy can't give us. But the Hermit, to me, the Hermit starts with the Lantern of the Hierophant. But at some point along its journey, it finds the flame of self, or the flame of truth within self. So then it furthers its journey using, like it furthers its journey being illuminated by self, because again, the Hierophant can only take you so far. Someone else can only take you so far within yourself, right? And at some point, you get an understanding of self that the Hierophant is supposed to guide you to. But Hierophant has kind of sort of erected itself in a position of power because it can when people sort of limit themselves there. Oh, speak of the devil, and he shall arise. The High Priestess at the bottom of the deck. What is going on today? The two cards that came out upright, it's the Demon and the Outlaw. Capricorn and Pisces energy. Right now, that's Pluto and Neptune. I mean, also the Sun and like Venus, but those transit fairly quickly. Pluto and Neptune have been in Capricorn and Pisces for a minute. Neptune is actually, at some point, it should be catching up to Pluto to make that sextile more exact, but it might not happen because I don't know if like Pluto's going to move into Pluto shouldn't move into Aquarius before Neptune reaches later 20 degrees of Pisces, but I'm not sure. For right now, I'm going to treat it as if they'll sextile, or as if as if they'll sextile. And so with Pluto and Neptune, hey solar fire, with a Pluto Neptune sextile, Pluto carries the energy of the underworld. Neptune carries the energy of the imagination. So in some ways, it can be deeply revealing, deeply illuminating thoughts or ideas. But again, I don't know I don't know how well we'll be able to translate it because it is something so deep. Oh, snap. Airplane. I could use a vacation. Hopefully I'm getting a vacation here fairly soon. My buddy said he'll let me know by the 10th, which is tomorrow. Let's go. Okay. And then there's like 5 cards that came out. So it's Apocalypse, Judgment, with the Ivory Shield, Holy Water. This is all cups. The Hollow Void and the Shining Dew. That's Queen of Cups, Ace of Cups, Four of Cups, Knight of Cups energy. Wait, you going on vacation? Solar Fire? This is a lot of Cups energy, but Judgment is the element of fire. What is this? Bottom of the deck was the High Priestess, so I should have already known that it wasn't going to be easy. I went from a deck that I could probably somewhat comprehend to one that is just like, what is this? It's carrying an energy. Oh, are people visiting people? Whoops. Am I a hypocrite or do I accept paradox? The world may never know. Because I'm like, are people visiting people right now? As I'm like literally talking about going to visit my buddy. But he like works second shift, so that's basically me like being in his apartment all day. I see him like in the morning and at night. But anyway, there's this energy here of it's like there are these things, dreams within us. There are these ways that we know that things should be that we've forgotten because we've spent so much time living in the world. But because apocalypse is knocking at our door, it's like it's awakening these things within us. I don't know if we'll accept them though, because we have the Ace of Cups and the Four of Cups. the Ace of Cups came out, but the Four of Cups is the message of like, well, Spirit is giving you that cup. Are you gonna take it? And it's like, and the Four of Cups is like, you don't know. More often than not, in the Four of Cups, you don't take it. Which, it's why it leads us to the Five of Cups. And we're like, man, I should have taken that cup. And then with the Six of Cups, it's like, imagine what my life would have been like if I had that cup. Imagine, when I thought I had that cup. And with the Seven of Cups, it's us trying to go out and seek what we're imagining. With the Eight of Cups, we're taking things that aren't that cup. With the Nine of Cups, we do enough within ourselves to, at the Ten of Cups, accept it. There's an energy here of being able to shortcut things. The system doesn't have to fall all the way apart. The world doesn't have to end. It reminds me, I was just talking about it yesterday, the story of Jonah and the whale and the city of Nineveh, and how Jonah had a message for the city of Nineveh that God was going to basically, that I think that was like Old Testament God. So when God was like Sodom and Gomorrah, Adam and Eve, when God was like, I will literally destroy this whole city. I will wipe this city off the map because this is a blemish on my perfect earth. Now, earth ain't perfect, but if for gosh darn sure ain't this messed up. But in Nineveh, they heeded the warning. For a year, the king himself, to protect his nation, the king himself put into law, okay, we're going to get right, because if we don't get right, Old Testament God is going to wipe us out. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying to be here in a year. And they actually did. It's one of the only instances that I know, honestly, but I'm not an expert on the Bible. It's one of the few stories where humanity actually chose, where people actually chose to do better, to listen, to get right. And because they did, they didn't incur the wrath of God. But again, there's this energy here of like whether we'll open our eyes and see all of the things that are being highlighted and illuminated right now. I mean, with the Knight of Cups coming out, I think we will. And I think we're going to choose to move forward. And it's going to be this crisis averted type of energy. I don't know what this is today. I know it's exciting, right? And that's what I'm like, because we could have had World War III by now. With all the people who have been like assassinated or killed when they shouldn't have been, with the dwindling of resources. And, back in the day, people was like, oh, I'm going to go out and, take somebody else's. It's not for a lack of provocation, but even when provoked, the world hasn't gone to war. And I think that's worth noting or holding on to. It's interesting. High Priestess is at the bottom of the deck, though, kind of sort of watching it all unfold. I think High Priestess energy can also see the many paths that something can take. So, no problem. I'm glad. I'm glad you found something that meant something. Solar Fire. I like this. I love this. I still don't know how this is taking me to where I want to go, but maybe I'll just start. Because honestly, this is going to be one of those things where it's different every time I look at it. So to narrow it down may not necessarily be helpful. So I'll just pull two cards. If I need to clarify, I have the. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to struggle if I struggle because the High Priestess came out. Yeah, and that's something I've been not necessarily learning, but trust the process is something that's been. It's been a heavy, heavy, heavy message for me lately. And I'm the type of person, like, my intuition is fairly strong. At every major life change, I've known what the next step would be. Like, I knew I was going to go to the college that I went to. I didn't know why, but I knew I was going to be there. Like, there were certain jobs or opportunities that I got. I just knew it was mine. I didn't know what would happen, but I knew that that was my next step. And now I don't know. And I'm almost like, how do people live life without knowing what they're gonna do next? And it's this constant like rest, relax, don't think about it too hard. It'll unfold. But there are certain things that I know I need to hold on to. And those are the ones that have held the most sort of debate in my life. And that's where a lot of the needing to know comes from. Also, I'm just like ready to be working and making money and saving money so I can begin to travel. Speaking of like airplanes, but it'll happen. That's something that I finally learned to accept yesterday. Again, exactly. And I do love growth, so I set myself up for this one. I love growth and I love to be surprised. So, you know, I guess I can't have it both ways. I can't love to be surprised and want to know everything. Imagine that, right? So I'm actually going to do, I want to do 4, even though it's only 2. Oh, okay. This is interesting. So the first card that came out is the 3 of Wands politic in the above position. And guess what came out? The Page of Pentacles came out again. I'm like, okay, it's a page. It don't know nothing. And then on the other side, the grotesque came out, 5 of Cups on the inside. I talked about the 5 of Cups, didn't I? And what came out for the outside, it's the Page of Cups. I shouldn't be surprised. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Giver. The Giver is carrying an energy of you'll learn as much as it's like you'll know as much as you're comfortable with not knowing. You'll learn as it's like you'll receive as much as you surrender. The politic is so the inside and above energy. It's speaking of coming into a faded time. There's also this energy. There's an energy surrounding. It's not the paradox. It's an energy surrounding the difficulties when it comes to prophecy. Because prophecy is flat. It doesn't necessarily allow for the dynamics of life. And so you can receive a warning that you're going to lose all of your possessions in a fire in 2 years. And you can freak out about it for 2 years. And sort of like no matter what you do, the fire happens. But after you lose all of your possessions in the fire, it, in some kind of Uranian, Plutonian way, it positions you to receive more because you have insurance. And so maybe the the lesson behind the prophecy was, hey, get insurance. If you're not insured, get insured within the next 2 years because you're going to lose everything. But instead of like maybe taking it that way, we try everything that we can. We try in all ways to like prevent the fire from happening. So we remove all the candles and all of the everything else in our house so that it doesn't catch fire. It's kind of like That's So Raven, if y'all have ever seen That's So Raven. How sometimes she tries her hardest to prevent a vision from happening, but she actually ends up causing it. But like the prophecy doesn't include everything that happens after the fire. It doesn't tell you that you're going to be reimbursed quite nicely. And the money that you get from that, yes, you had to sacrifice some possessions. Maybe since you got the prophecy, your most irreplaceable things you put somewhere else. Excuse me, but you're going to be compensated well enough to do something that you really want to do, to make a move that you've always wanted to make, but you've never been able to afford. There's heavy masculine energies in this, Sun in Aries and Mars in Scorpio. It's mostly that Sun, Mars, and then Martian energy between Aries and Scorpio. And so there's this faded time. There's an energy of the starborn. because there's the star on the cape. I was talking about how life gets us to forfeit some of the things that make us special and unique. Those are the three cups on the ground. How we try so hard to fit into that, and how much it doesn't serve us. It's like the more we try to fit in, the more of an outsider we feel because we're sacrificing parts of ourselves to do that. But this it's carrying the energy of a fated time where we're going to need to stand. We're going to need to know who we are. We're going to need to know who our creator is if you have a creator. And you're going to need to trust and faith enough to do the things that you never would have necessarily imagined doing. And it's coming out with 2 pages, a page on the outside and a page below. Now it's the two feminine pages. So here, there's like heavy Sun Mars energy with the page of Earth and the page of water. This is that fertile energy. It's something that's never been seen before. It's something that's never been felt, something that's never been experienced. So in this deck, the pages have letters. They come with additional messages. So we're going to see. Well. Look, more Mars. Mars and Leo. The Dark Horse is the message for the page of Earth. I think the Dark Horse, it's carrying an energy of like there's an underdog. There's a less established. It will win. And I love that we go from the 3 to the 7 of Wands. So there is an overall 10 of Wands energy. 10 of Wands, 10 of Souls came out yesterday, and it bridged Sagittarius and Capricorn under Cancer. And then the Angel comes out for the Page of Cups. Now the 8 of Wands Sharpshooter is at the bottom of the deck. That's an energy of quickening. Temperance, the angel, can be an energy that's associated with like time. With the Dark Horse, we may be feeling like we're sort of nearing the edge, the end of our limit of what we can tolerate. But the Sharpshooter 8 of Wands, it carries an energy of acceleration, of quickening. Archangel of Healing is behind that. And like I was saying, like with that cup, if we accept the cup, we can shortcut the process. We don't have to give it up. We don't have to be blind. We don't have to have our eyes closed to the exit, to the resolution that is in front of us. We can take it the hard way. We can push this out. We can push the earth to the brink and experience even more global catastrophe. Apparently, Mount Etna erupted. I thought Mount Etna was dormant for some reason. Earthquakes, floods. It was like super cold. It's fairly warm today. It went from like sub-zero to like 60 within the space of like a week. Everything on Earth is so temperamental. Everything organic on Earth is so temperamental. Not everything is able to accommodate for sudden and rapid shifts in the environment, in the weather, in climate, and whatever. But humanity is one of the hardiest things. Like you'll still be freezing, you'll still be cold, unfortunately, depending on what the conditions are. Some people may not be able to survive certain shifts in the weather, sudden shifts in the weather, especially if all of the things that we have invented and created to give ourselves that versatility fail us. But we're capable of it. And I feel like the more there's like no, for some reason, I looked at this and I saw a bird cage with no bird in it. Like the bird is free, no longer caged, no longer imprisoned. And again, that's what the Five of Cups is, and in this deck especially. This Five of Cups is asking us to embrace all the things that made us different and unique. All the things that we would be so quick to put away, hide away to fit in. And it's like with the angel coming out with this Page of Cups, it's almost like those very things are going to be our salvation. That's going to be our key to this healing that's going to set us free. Look, oh look, and then we got two cups there. So the angel is holding both cups. There's our Two of Cups unicorn energy. And then for the wands, it takes us to the 8. I feel like we're nearing the end of a lot of struggles. And I've never necessarily seen it before, but the stronghold of the Grail, Page of Pentacles, she's got that, like, whatever that is giving me like strong third eye energy. And I feel like that's like the earth itself knows that we're coming into this point, coming into this time. We may not necessarily know it. But again, there's this energy, it's coming through. It's like we've established the foundation for something without knowing that we did it. And then there was this other energy of something silently moving into place. It's moving into place. We have the foundation to accept it. And I think that's the state of that's the state of wands. I think it's a lot slower than we think it is. We just didn't see it. We weren't in a position or in a place to see it. Nothing is necessarily as unpredictable as we may think. Like when it comes to transits and conjunctions and aspects in the sky, the planets move in a fairly defined, smooth manner. They're not just like zipping around and like you wake up one day and Mercury is in Aquarius, you wake up another day, Mercury is in Libra, and then it's in Leo, and then Gemini, right? It has its transition and we can track it. Ephemerises have been around for a long time. But it's not until they hit those major points that we go, ah, like that's what it is. So it feels like it's happening quickly. But again, it's like we've been creating the foundation and this thing has been moving into place. We've been doing the work, we've been healing into it. And the reward, this is the Queen of Pentacles energy. It's been held off for a minute, but we're going to come into the position where she presents it to us because that healing that took place. This is everything supporting the archer as she shoots us into the future. The healing has taken place, so we're going to receive it. And then it picks up from there. That's where I'm going to end this. I think I will actually try to build this out, or maybe I'll just keep it on the books because that's something, again, something like that. I feel like it's a lot more personal than like collective because we're all different on the inside, similar, connected to the same thing, but different. And like a gift of that caliber, it's not necessarily going to be, oh, I say this and it's for everybody. Now, it ain't like I get like hundreds of viewers, so the audience is like smaller, but still, I address things from a collective space. Last thing I want to point out though, these came out with a 7 and a 14. But this 14 is temperance. So it's 7 on both sides. There's an energy of doubling. But again, the angel is sort of like it has everything under control or everything in hand. But we're going to hit that double like quicker than we realize, quicker than we think. So, oh, I said I was going to timestamp where the actual reading began. I guess I lied. Maybe I'll go back because I never finished building the spread, so I'm not going to timestamp it. Ooh, 4 of Wands. Okay. Shout out to all these wands coming out. There's the demiurge. The demiurge has the power to shape and form its reality, but we can't shape and form our reality from places and spaces that are disconnected from the divine within us. You can't shape and form reality from a place that is that the Archangel Commander? No, it's the Archangel of Mysteries. Still impressive, but you can't do that from a disconnected space. And I feel like a lot of times we kind of sort of try to word and brute force our way into these creative spaces, but you don't get there without the heart. Again, it goes back to that Leviathan. It takes a lot of water and a mighty beast connected to the element of water. You got to get through all of that to really get to the depths of what we have available to us. And that's like some pretty intense shadow work, honestly. And I think a lot of times we can kind of sort of get intimidated or shortcut it, so we don't necessarily reach the depths that we could. And we don't necessarily get to where a lot of people will say we will. And it's not that it's not possible, it's just that it requires more than what we've been doing. Queen of Swords, which is a dude. The Scarlet Shield. Bottom of the deck is the Ebony Shield. Queen of Pentacles. I've done these two before. This is the gateway between the thought and the manifestation and reality. And then there's the cleaners. It's titled like the cleaners or the cleansing or something like that. Because I was like, well, what's standing between like the thought and the manifestation of the thing? And when I did it, like death came out, two cards out from the Queen of Pentacles. So I was like, oh, okay, well that's why we can't do anything, because it dies. It gets cleaned almost immediately. And it comes in as this disconnect. There's like this thoughts become things type of energy, but it's like the heart is missing. And when the heart is included, it's like I don't think we fully realize the state and the condition that the collective heart of humanity at least was in. There's been a lot of atrocities committed. There's a lot of bypassing and ignoring when it comes to the hurts and pains of other people. There's a lot of, I will wrong someone else, I will take from someone else, or I will turn a blind eye as that happens if my pocketbook gets bigger. And it's like, well, if you care about somebody, if you really love somebody, you wouldn't do that to them. Love, it means a lot more than we sort of think. And again, it's an energy that if you want to come into a creative anything, you kind of sort of have to have or know or be familiar with it at the very least. But it could be, it's also coming in as like the things that we do to try to maintain or preserve a certain mental functioning, which is understandable. But in doing that, it prevents us from knowing or experiencing certain things that we need to know or experience. I already put the Spencers away. I still have the Energy Oracle cards outside of the box, so I'm going to get a final card from these, and then I'll shut it down. Is that Metatron, 6th chakra? Was that attachment? Well, it was Metatron. Ooh, the man holding a heart with Metatron. Okay. That man holding a heart likes to come out at the cut a lot. Angel of Strength with Metatron, 6th chakra. Let's get a final card from the Energy Oracle cards, please. Oh, that almost came out, but it didn't. It made a lot of noise, but it didn't come out. Oh, it's almost time for me to eat. I don't think I've eaten yet today or had any water. The door to personal healing and happiness with the door to spirit. They're not so disconnected. And I think with the door to spirit, a lot of what we've been manifesting, it requires this door to personal healing and happiness. You don't get one without the other. And I think for what we were asking for and the space that we were in, it's not very likely on an energetic equation or in a spiritual sense, it's not very likely that we would have gotten to where we wanted to be without some earth shaking occurrences happening. Because, and I don't know, it's like when we're manifesting like a 5D earth or whatever, I guess the question of like, how did we think we were going to get there comes to mind. And what really blows my mind is that, and I've talked about it before, but it kind of sort of it evades my understanding how we manifest a 5D earth. The earth shows us all the ways in which it is hurting. The earth shows us everything that we need to address and take care of to get to live on that earth that we envision and that we're manifesting. But we'll literally like turn a blind eye while simultaneously and continuingly saying that we're manifesting a better earth. And it's like earth is like, well, like I'm presenting to you what you need to do to get there. Like this is what needs to be resolved. This is what needs to be taken care of to get to the place that you're manifesting. And that's what creates that gap between the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. Like this time they literally had the whole tarot deck between them. And so that's a pretty big gap between the thought and the manifestation. 32 and 34. 5 and 7 is 12. But door to spirit, door to personal healing and happiness. They're not separate anymore. They kind of sort of never were. And that's what I say about intuition. When you really learn the voice of your intuition, you'll know that more often than not, it pushes you into what's uncomfortable. It pushes you into healing. It pushes you into doing better and being better. And if your discernment or if your intuition typically tells you to play it safe, to keep doing what it is that you're already doing or that you've always done, I don't want to say like maybe you need to learn to differentiate and separate what is actual intuition and what actually comes from the divine and what doesn't. But like in the little like 15-minute reading I did earlier, it's like we're going to be manifesting or coming into these situations where we're going to learn the difference between our intuition, our anxiety, and our fear, and programming because it all speaks in the same way. It all comes from within, but not all of it is divine. And as humans, we're creatures of duality. We have good in us and we have bad in us. So you'll hear the divine and you'll hear the less than divine. 2011. Oh, snap. Oh, I think that's, hold up, wait. No, that's 811. Okay. I was like, wait, let me do some math. Bottom of the deck is adjacent possibilities. Adjacent possibilities with the door to personal healing and happiness and the door to spirit. That's it's an interesting energy. But again, so this is just it's that ace of cups next to the four of cups and whether or not we take it. And if you don't take it, your life will go down a completely different trajectory. That's why spirit is pushing us into this personal healing and happiness because the difference between this life and the next life is that close. It could literally be one decision that completely, and that's what it always is. It's always one decision, or it may be as many as a few decisions that completely alter your life path. That's one opportunity that you decided not to take. It's one moment of courage and bravery that you shied away from. It's one thing that you had to work through that was just too much. But if you would have done it, everything changes. Like they're literally right next door with adjacent possibilities. That's why spirit is pushing so hard for us to heal and for us to face our shadows and to face the darkness of the world around us and to not to continue to ignore it. How do we expect continuing to ignore problems to fix anything or to get us anywhere that we haven't been before? I don't know. But a lot of people have been because of global circumstances. A lot of people. I love that emoji. A lot of people have been in a position where they can make the choice to heal themselves. Whether they do or not is besides the point, but we've all been, it's been illuminated to us very plainly, pretty much all of us, as a lot of us have been forced to live in the boxes that we created for ourselves. I don't want to end it like that, but it is what it is. If you do positive things, if you do that healing, and because of that healing, you make new and bold choices, then you get amazing things. And if you continue to live in the box, you continue to live to get the life that the box provides for you. So it's not positive or negative. It's the consequence of choice. That's what we've been blessed with as humans. Free will, choice, a thinking, logical, reasoning mind, and a heart that has the capability to grow infinitely. The more love you give, the more you expand in that. It's one of the few things where you give more, but in giving more, you get more. And I think that's what that Six of Pentacles was also carrying. By giving more, you get more. By sacrificing more, you receive more. You can't receive anything that you don't have space to receive. So that's what I got today. This is like, we're coming upon the new moon in Pisces soon. We're going to be in Aries season soon, the start, like spring equinox, start of a whole new astrological year, a whole new energy. No problem, Solar Fire. Thanks for stopping in. I'm glad you found something in here that was useful. Yeah, I really believe, though. I think we'll get it. I think we're already getting it. I can tell that we're already getting it. And it's like things could have gone so drastically different. I think they're not necessarily perfect, they're not necessarily ideal. But I think if we really think about it, things could have gone drastically different. Things could be a lot worse than they are. Again, we've had several opportunities for a third world war, or at least for more major wars to break out. I think I read somewhere that like they were about to drop some more bombs in Syria or something, but at the last minute something happened and they decided not to. Maybe. I know stuff is still popping in Myanmar. I don't know if the farmers are still doing their thing in India, but people aren't taking it anymore. All over the world, people are demanding more from their systems, and the systems are retaliating against them. And it's like, wow, okay. So you really are going to be that oppressive governmental girl that everybody knew you were, but now you're going to prove to the whole world that you're that girl. The whole world is looking at everything right now. When Black Lives Matter popped off last year, and you saw marches popping off all over the world, we're talking about things happening in other places of the world here. It's like, I don't know how much longer that old whatever that was is going to be able to endure, because people all over the place, they're like, we're not going to have this anymore. This is unacceptable. And it's like, it's weird that, like, as the system tries to fight more to maintain its threshold and power, it makes everything all the more obvious. And it's like, ew, what is this? At least if you would have pretended like you cared about us, we wouldn't have as much of a drive to change you. But you really letting us know how much you don't care right now. Anyway, anyway, I gotta get some food. It was fun, Solar Fire. I will catch y'all whenever I catch y'all. Have a good whatever, whenever. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience in this incarnation your reality, because it's possible. And now we're coming into a time where things are more malleable than ever, more ready to be changed than ever. It's going to require some courage and some bravery, and it's going to require us to trust the process. We're not going to know the solution before we try every time. And not having a solution isn't isn't reason enough to not try now. I guess that's the gift of everything falling apart the way it has been. And it's definitely come at the cost of a lot of lives. So let's not make those sacrifices be in vain, I guess. Peace, love, and gnosis and elevation. Well, thank you for all of that. All right. Bye.